Marcus Aurelius never had to deal with modern dating. But the psychological principles he wrote about 2,000 years ago, they're more relevant today than ever. I spent 3 years studying Stoic philosophy after a brutal breakup that left me questioning everything I thought I knew about relationships. What I discovered changed my entire approach to dating and gave me insights that most men will never understand. The ancient Stoics understood something profound about human psychology, especially the patterns that govern attraction, power dynamics, and emotional control. They knew that understanding these patterns wasn't about manipulation. It was about maintaining your inner peace while navigating complex human relationships. Today, I'm sharing 10 psychological patterns that Stoic principles help you recognize and handle with wisdom. These aren't tricks or hacks. They're timeless insights into human nature that will fundamentally change how you approach relationships. Oh, and before we continue, I've got something special for you. A free ebook, the Female Mind Control Handbook. It reveals the hidden secrets to making any woman crave you. Grab it now, link in the description or pinned comment. Fair warning, this knowledge comes with responsibility. Use it wisely. 1. The emotional validation. Most women have been conditioned from childhood to seek external validation for their worth. Social media has amplified this into an almost pathological need for constant emotional reassurance. Understanding this pattern through a Stoic lens changes everything. The Stoic principle here is simple. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. When you recognize that her need for validation is about her internal state, not your performance, you gain tremendous clarity. Here's what this looks like in practice. She posts a photo and obsessively checks likes. She asks, "Do I look fat in this?" She needs constant reassurance about the relationship. She gets upset when you don't respond to texts immediately. These aren't character flaws. They're symptoms of an externally driven sense of self-worth. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "How much trouble he avoids who does not look to see what his neighbor says or does." When you stop trying to constantly validate her emotional needs, something interesting happens. She begins to respect your emotional independence. The key insight. Women are unconsciously drawn to men who have strong internal validation systems because it represents the emotional stability they're seeking. When you demonstrate that your peace of mind doesn't depend on managing her emotions, you become infinitely more attractive. This doesn't mean being cold or uncaring. It means being genuinely supportive without losing yourself in the process. You offer strength, not codependency. 2. The hypergamy. Hypergamy, the tendency to be attracted to partners of higher social, economic, or status level, is hardwired into female psychology. But here's what most dating advice gets wrong. It's not just about money or status. It's about perceived value and potential. The Stoic understanding of this is profound. The best way to avenge yourself is to not be like your enemy. Instead of competing in the external status game, you focus on building genuine internal value. Seneca taught that true wealth isn't what you have, but what you don't need. When you apply this to relationships, you stop trying to impress through external displays and start demonstrating real value through character, wisdom, and emotional strength. Here's the pattern. She's constantly comparing you to other men, their jobs, their cars, their social media presence. She mentions her ex's achievements. She seems impressed by flashy guys at parties. She questions your ambition or financial prospects. The typical male response is to compete externally, get a better job, buy expensive things, show off achievements. The Stoic response is radically different. You focus on becoming genuinely valuable through self-improvement, wisdom, and character development. Marcus Aurelius was literally an emperor, but he wrote, "Remember that very little disturbs the happiness of a man who has learned to be content with little." When you embody this principle, you become immune to hypergamous testing. 3. The attention manipulation. Modern women exist in a constant attention economy where their value is measured by likes, comments, and male attention. This creates a psychological pattern that most men unknowingly feed into, diminishing their own position in the process. The Stoic principle of emotional indifference to external things is crucial here. Epictetus taught that we suffer not from events themselves, but from our judgments about those events. When you understand that her attention-seeking behavior is about her internal insecurities, not your worth, you gain tremendous power. Here's the pattern. She posts provocative photos for validation. She mentions other men showing interest in her. She creates artificial scarcity by being too busy to respond. She uses jealousy as a tool to test your investment level. She thrives on the drama of competing male attention. Most men react emotionally. They get jealous, possessive, or start competing for her attention. The Stoic response is to remain completely unaffected. You neither encourage this behavior nor get emotionally reactive to it. Seneca wrote, "Every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end." When you stop participating in her attention games, you force her to interact with you on a deeper level. You're not another source of validation. You're someone who operates outside that system entirely. The key insight: your attention becomes incredibly valuable when it's not freely given. When other men are constantly liking her posts, commenting desperately, and competing for her notice, your selective attention stands out dramatically. This doesn't mean being aloof or cold. It means being discerning. You engage when there's genuine connection, but you don't feed attention-seeking behavior. You demonstrate that your time and energy are valuable resources that must be earned. The result: she begins to crave your attention because it's rare and meaningful, not because it's abundant and needy. 4. The emotional chaos addiction. Many women unconsciously create emotional turbulence in relationships because they've learned to equate intensity with love. This pattern is deeply rooted in childhood experiences and societal conditioning about what passion looks like. The Stoic principle here is emotional equilibrium. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. When you maintain emotional stability in the face of manufactured chaos, you break the cycle." Here's how this manifests. She creates arguments over minor issues. She tests your patience with unreasonable demands. She interprets your calmness as lack of caring. She escalates conflicts to get emotional reactions. She confuses drama with passion. The typical male response is to either match her emotional intensity or completely withdraw. The Stoic response is to remain emotionally centered while still being engaged. You don't feed the chaos, but you don't abandon the relationship either. Epictetus taught that we cannot control external events, only our responses to them. When you apply this to relationship drama, you stop taking her emotional chaos personally. You recognize it as her way of testing your emotional strength and stability. The profound insight: women often create chaos because they're unconsciously testing whether you can remain centered under pressure. This isn't conscious manipulation, it's an evolutionary test of your leadership capability. 5. The provider security paradox. Women face a fundamental paradox. They need security, but are often most attracted to men who seem slightly dangerous or unpredictable. This creates internal conflict that manifests in confusing relationship patterns. The Stoic insight is about understanding the difference between true security and the illusion of security. Seneca wrote, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, who is poor." True security comes from inner strength, not external circumstances. Here's the pattern. She says she wants a stable, reliable man, but seems more excited by unpredictable guys. She appreciates your consistency, but finds it boring. She wants financial security, but is turned off by men who seem too eager to provide it. She's attracted to confidence, but interprets kindness as weakness. Most men try to solve this by being either the bad boy or the provider, not understanding that both approaches miss the point. The Stoic approach is to be internally secure while maintaining an edge of independence and unpredictability. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Confine yourself to the present." When you're completely content with your own life and choices, you provide emotional security without appearing needy or desperate. You're stable, but not boring, reliable, but not predictable. The key insight: women don't want to feel like they're your entire world. They want to feel like they're entering a world that's already complete and interesting. When you have your own mission, your own growth, your own challenges, you provide security without sacrificing attraction. This means being generous without being a pushover, being caring without being clingy, being stable without being stagnant. You demonstrate that you're a solid foundation while still being an exciting partner. The result is that she gets both security and excitement from the same person, you. She doesn't have to choose between safety and passion because you embody both. 6. The social proof validation loop. Women are highly attuned to social dynamics and often use other people's opinions as validation for their choices. This creates a psychological dependency on external approval that affects every aspect of their relationships. The Stoic principle of internal scorecard is essential here. Epictetus taught, "Wealth consists in not having great possessions, but in having few wants." When applied to social validation, this means your worth isn't determined by others' opinions. Here's how this pattern shows up. She needs her friends to approve of you. She's influenced by her family's opinions about the relationship. She worries about what people think of your job, your appearance, your social status. She uses social media to validate relationship milestones. Most men either try to win over everyone in her social circle or become resentful of external influence. The Stoic response is to be genuinely yourself while understanding that her need for social validation is about her insecurity, not your inadequacy. Seneca wrote, "Every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end." When you stop trying to please everyone and focus on being authentically valuable, you break the social proof cycle. 7. The perfectionism paralysis trap. Many women struggle with perfectionism that prevents them from taking action or making decisions. This creates a cycle of anxiety and indecision that affects relationships, career choices, and personal growth. The Stoic principle of preferred indifference is crucial here. Marcus Aurelius taught that we should have preferences but not be attached to outcomes. When you model this approach, you help break the perfectionism cycle. Here's how this manifests. She spends hours getting ready, never feeling satisfied with her appearance. She overthinks every decision, from what to wear to what to order at restaurants. She procrastinates on important goals because she's afraid of imperfect results. She seeks constant reassurance about her choices. Most men either enable this behavior by providing constant reassurance or become frustrated with the indecision. The Stoic response is to model decisive action while being patient with her process. Epictetus wrote, "No one can harm you without your permission." When you demonstrate that imperfection is acceptable and that action is more important than perfect outcomes, you provide a powerful example. 8. The emotional contagion, susceptibility. Women are often highly empathetic and emotionally sensitive, which makes them susceptible to absorbing others' emotional states. This can create overwhelm and emotional instability in relationships. The Stoic principle of emotional boundaries is essential. Seneca taught, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." When you maintain emotional equilibrium, you provide stability for both of you. Here's the pattern. She takes on your stress and anxiety. She's affected by her friends' drama and problems. She has difficulty separating her emotions from others' emotions. She becomes overwhelmed in emotionally charged environments. Most men either try to shield her from all emotional input or become frustrated with her sensitivity. The Stoic response is to maintain your own emotional center while being understanding of her empathetic nature. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Confine yourself to the present." When you stay grounded in your own emotional reality, you provide an anchor for her emotional storms. The profound insight, your emotional stability becomes a refuge for her sensitivity. Instead of being overwhelmed by emotional chaos, she can return to your calm presence to regain her balance. This doesn't mean being emotionally unavailable. It means being emotionally reliable. You feel your emotions fully, but don't let them control your actions or decisions. The key is teaching by example. When you demonstrate that you can be empathetic without being emotionally overwhelmed, you show her that it's possible to care deeply while maintaining inner peace. The result is that she begins to develop her own emotional boundaries, learning to be compassionate without being consumed by others' emotions. 9. The comparison trap obsession. Social media and modern culture have created a constant comparison environment where women measure their worth against others' highlight reels. This creates chronic dissatisfaction and relationship instability. The Stoic principle of focusing on your own lane is crucial here. Epictetus taught, "Don't compare yourself to others. Compare yourself to who you were yesterday." When you embody this principle, you break the comparison cycle. Here's how this shows up. She constantly compares herself to other women. She's dissatisfied with achievements that should bring joy. She focuses on what she doesn't have, rather than appreciating what she does have. She uses social media to validate her worth. Most men either try to constantly reassure her or get frustrated with her dissatisfaction. The Stoic response is to model contentment and gratitude while understanding that comparison is a form of self-torture. Seneca wrote, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, who is poor." When you demonstrate genuine contentment with your own life and progress, you provide a powerful alternative to the comparison mindset. The key insight. Comparison is a form of external validation seeking. When you consistently focus on your own growth and progress without comparing yourself to others, you show her a different way of measuring worth. This means celebrating your own achievements without needing to be better than others. It means being genuinely happy for others' success without feeling diminished by it. The result is that she begins to focus more on her own journey and less on how she measures against others. Your contentment becomes a model for her own self-acceptance. 10. The future fantasy fixation. Many women become fixated on future scenarios and outcomes, creating anxiety about things that may never happen. This prevents them from enjoying present moments and creates unnecessary relationship pressure. The Stoic principle of present moment awareness is essential. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Confine yourself to the present." When you consistently focus on the present moment, you break the future anxiety cycle. Here's the pattern. She worries about relationship milestones and timelines. She creates elaborate future scenarios in her mind. She becomes anxious about potential problems that don't exist yet. She pressures for commitments based on imagined futures. Most men either get caught up in her future planning or dismiss her concerns entirely. The Stoic response is to remain present-focused while being understanding of her planning nature. Epictetus taught that we suffer not from events themselves, but from our judgments about events. When you demonstrate that you're fully engaged in the present moment, you show her that the future is built from present actions. The profound insight: future anxiety is often about control, the desire to know that everything will work out perfectly. When you show comfort with uncertainty while taking positive action in the present, you model a healthier relationship with the future. This means making decisions based on current reality rather than imagined scenarios. It means being committed to growth and improvement without being attached to specific outcomes. The key is helping her see that the best way to create a positive future is to be fully present in current moments. You plan responsibly, but don't live in anxiety about things that haven't happened. The result is that she becomes more comfortable with uncertainty and begins to enjoy present moments rather than constantly worrying about future outcomes. These 10 patterns aren't weaknesses to exploit. They're human psychological tendencies that Stoic principles help you navigate with wisdom and compassion. The ancient Stoics understood something profound. True strength comes not from controlling others, but from mastering yourself. When you embody these principles, you become the kind of man that women naturally respect and trust. Remember Marcus Aurelius's words: "The best way to avenge yourself is to not be like your enemy." Don't become reactive, manipulative, or controlling. Instead, become the calm, centered, emotionally intelligent person that others naturally gravitate toward. Use this knowledge responsibly. The goal isn't to gain power over others, it's to maintain power over yourself while building genuine, healthy relationships. If this video helped you understand these psychological patterns better, subscribe and share your thoughts in the comments. Which of these patterns have you noticed in your own relationships? Stay stoic, stay wise, stay strong.